It's always 4 a.m. somewhere in the world. And here in the Philippines, it seems that most smartphones in its major cities sound off at this time, or roosters crow their natural alarm in the countryside across the provinces. Within the nation's capital, Manila, 4 a.m. is a moment where you'd think a city sleeps, but underneath the blanket of smog are millions of hard-working folk getting up and beginning their yoga stretches for their daily patience levels as they clamber on top of crowded jeepneys, squeeze in between seats inside the transit systems, and hop behind motorbikes in order to stack the pesos in their daily grind. As like other countries around the world, many flock to the big city just to pay for high levels of rent for small levels of space. A melting pot of many languages, they bubble over into each other like a piping hot cauldron of adobo, with some being unintelligible to the next. Aside from the Japanese and the Americans, the Spaniards, the OG of the colonizers, have left behind many traditions and bloodlines that have been weaved into the fabric of daily life. From food to loanwords, street names to surnames, the influence of their 377-year reign is without a doubt still strong today. Nowadays, English is everywhere. In fact, the Philippines is the third largest English-speaking country in the world. Regardless of which island you're on, chances are that you'll come across a community of Philchai, Chinese Filipinos, that have played a large part in developing the economic history of the country since the 16th century. Now, if you happen to spend time in Manila, be sure to make your way to the world's oldest Chinatown. Yup, older than the ones in San Francisco and Vancouver, in a bustling neighborhood called Binondo. At times, I hated what I saw, and I teared up at what I felt. There's a very thick line that separates the affluent and the people of the streets. Realistically, a 10-meter-high wall. The one thing that both extreme spectrums do have in common is their will to survive. This is the Philippines. For those that have decided to stay in the province, a healthier life of retail shops and an abundance of lechon manok joints riddle the streets. Carinderias are the main source of sustenance for Pinoys, and they serve as mysterious shops of open-air food stalls for the curious tourist. I urge you to find one, and I double urge you to sit down and enjoy whatever it is that is being served. Don't play it safe with relying on a classic adobo, unless it's made of crickets like in Pampanga. Try dinuguan, sinigang, and even pares, an intoxicating beef stew with spices that are reminiscent of a pho broth, but punchier. Notes of star anise and cinnamon are subdued by a serving of room-temperature jasmine rice shaped by an upside-down bowl. Kain tayo. With just as many languages comes just as many variations of local food recipes. Good luck trying to chase after the same barbecue chicken flavor that you had in Bacolod, elsewhere across the 7,000 islands. I waved to a passerby in Silay City, and they replied with an even wider stroke in the air, kind and gentle. I smiled and repeated the same greeting to a pedestrian in Manila, and was met with a conservative head nod followed by a brisk exit. Two vastly different reciprocations, but understandably so. The provinces may not hold the same congressional power and wealth as Manila, but their hearts hold more. Spend time in both, and you'll still come to love them equally, in a Stockholm Syndrome type of way within the big city. I don't know what I was looking for when I first arrived, and I don't think I'll ever find it. Something inside of me is okay with that, because at least it gives me an excuse to come back again and again. I ended my adventure with a surfing trip in La Union, and it made me realize that I'll forever be searching for the perfect wave, longing for the perfect inasal, and waiting for my next flight back to the Philippines.